All right. Hey, everyone. My name is James, and I'll be your host for today's webinar. Welcome to OT Network Security Investment and Segmentation Strategies. Joining us today are two speakers from Moxa. Our first is Felipe Costa, a cybersecurity director and certified instructor in industrial cybersecurity by ISA and EC Council. He holds more than 30 certifications and a Master of Science. With over 20 years of experience in the industrial sector, he specializes in developing mission-critical solutions with cybersecurity at the forefront. Felipe has presented and published articles globally, including at the NASA Artificial Intelligence Congress. Also joining us today is Hans Jen, a lead field applications engineer at Moxa and an esteemed IEC 62443 cybersecurity specialist. He has a rich background spanning over 12 years in industrial automation and cybersecurity. Hans is dedicated to the energy sector, excelling in IEC 61850 digital substation applications, distribution, transmission protection, controls, and battery energy storage systems. His expertise extends to designing and auditing sophisticated network architectures for electronic utilities, including one of the world's most powerful battery energy storage systems. Some housekeeping items before we jump into our presentation. The webinar is going to be 60 minutes, including time for questions at the end. If you'd like to submit questions, please use that Q&A function. You will also see the occasional poll question pop up on your screen. We encourage you to participate in those. And also the recording will be shared with you afterwards so that you can watch it on demand. And there will be a survey at the end of the webinar. We appreciate your feedback on the presentation. And with that in mind, I'll pass it off to Felipe to kick off our webinar. Felipe.
Hello, thank you, James. I appreciate it. Hello, everyone. Be welcome to another Moxa webinar. And today I would like to go with you guys about several topics that I believe that are really interesting, really current, that I believe we should be discussing, right? The first one, I would like to start with a landscape about how is actually the cybersecurity, industrial cybersecurity market right now. And after that, some, let's say, usual, recommendations that I'm calling here effective segmentation. After that, I would like to start a conversation about strategic justification, about ROI, and eventually how we can make sure that we have the approvals for these projects for the technology side. Extremely important topic. And my last section, I will bring some important aspects on having centralized management. And the last section, you're going to have my friend here, Hans, you're going to talk about applications and how we can deploy real life examples of the things that I cover in the first three sections. Sounds like a plan, guys? So let's start. I believe there is no better way to start than addressing probably the most hot topic that we have so far, that is AI, right, in the technical aspect. So obviously we have different things happening in the market. Here I'm highlighting a few news from the same source, that is Forbes, where we are seeing basically hackers using AI to improve their ability to break systems, industrial control systems. And we are seeing also the protecting team, pretty much us, using AI also to help us improve our ability to deploy defensive team or strategies. So definitely we are seeing everybody using somehow AI to leverage it to improve their capabilities. So in the other, on the bottom of the page, we can see basically kind of another trend that we're seeing. A couple of years ago, we start to hear about quantum computing. That is basically a game changer in different markets, but absolutely in cryptography, encryption, another way to say it, in our basically security field that is massive, right? So time to time we follow some news, and we are seeing actually the different use and different angles of different companies or kind of research, trying to find ways to use the current GPUs to do some tasks from that we at first thought that just quantum computers would be able to do it. So another angle to see it, actually, we are getting even better with the current, what we call classic computing, using the GPUs to try to crack or break different systems. So this is another kind of alert that we have in our segment, right? So different people is actually trying to break encryption in different ways and do not necessarily need to use quantum computers. So just something that also adds in our basket here that we should be aware in how actually we can better improve our strategy. In this is what actually what we're going to talk right now. All right. Probably you already saw this slide a couple of times. I will not really invest a lot of time right here, but definitely the first really good step to have is a strategy, a framework, a foundation, because without that, it's really hard to understand what we're doing, the next steps, and pretty much the full page, right? The big picture about what you are doing in our company. So this is definitely something that we are recommending as company Moxa. We follow 62443, ISA 99, but as you can see, pretty much we have a huge overlap among different frameworks. So definitely we have different ways to cooperate, and this is our first recommendation to any cybersecurity strategy. Pick and choose your framework that best aligns with your strategy. The second thing is more strategic, right? For those who rejoin or follow CISA, that is the Homeland Security Department responsible for industrial control systems, we have a chart that basically maps out all the attacks that happen in U.S. territory, targeting specifically industrial control systems and the sophistication behind, right? So as you can see, the big chunk, the big portion of the attacks are considered what we say low sophistication to medium sophistication. So with that, as you can see, we have basically a rectangle here called defense architecture. That is something that we're going to cover in the next few slides. That is definitely going to cover basically 80% of the most likely type of attacks in U.S. territory, specifically for industrial control systems. Obviously, we're going to have a few other type of attacks that are more sophisticated, that it may have a national state behind or groups, hacking groups behind. But again, right, our idea here in that conversation is make sure you guys are doing the basic and the most effective usage of the technology and investments to protect against the most common type of attacks. And this is the goal of this webinar today. So with that being said, when we talk about defensible architecture, this is a term coined by SANS Institute and may have different meanings in different places, but definitely I try to break down in more actionable things. What does it mean behind this concept? And as you can see, we're going to break in two main segments or two main parts of the conversation today. Segmentation, it's the basic, but absolutely still needed. A lot of applications that I am part of the conversation, I'm seeing a lack of segmentation. So definitely still important and hot topic to be covered. And fortifying is what I'm calling the next steps in terms of the basic to cover the 80%, right, that I just shared based on the mapping on the text. With that being said, I would like to bring up the first question and have the sense of you guys. We're going to have a couple of options that are based on our experience, the most common type of options when it comes in terms of cybersecurity projects. And we'd like to understand, right, from the audience right here, where we are. So definitely we can better usage or use the time on the next slides tailored on the majority of the needs of the audience right here. So as you're going to see, we have basically a goal as improve or implement network segmentation. The second option is improve or implement software consistency or some way to improve your ability to manage massive or mass deployment. The other thing is advanced threat detection. For most mature customers, they are trying to understand better the type of threats on their networking and try to have a better visibility. And the last is more about response, right? We have some type of automated response, and also we have what we call playbooks that are basically mandatory for most companies have a specific playbook for industrial control system. So this is what we mean with advanced threat response. So we are receiving a lot of answers. We're going to share with you guys so you also can have an idea about basically what majority of the people is doing so far. All right, so I believe we're good. James, please, could you please share with everybody here the results?
Yeah, definitely. It looks like most people, their responses are improve and implement network segmentation.
Nice.
Yeah, followed by advanced threat detection.
That's really interesting and definitely the trend that we see right in our conversation. So thanks for sharing. So all these slides that we're gonna be followed right now, they're perfect aligned with this majority distribution on the question. So thank you again for sharing your insights. So with that being said, let's talk about first, so implement or improve network segmentation, right? And the first thing that we need really do it's, I'm gonna do like a quick refresh about network segmentation. I have been sharing this topic for about 5-6 years in different webinars, so I'm pretty sure that you are familiar with, but I just want to make sure for the newer comers, they also understand the concept. So defense and def is something that comes from military, but much older than that. Actually, you can see like an old picture that defines the concept. Only we have like different layers of protection, and the idea is you adding different layers. If an attacker intruder is trying to come in, breaking in the network, or in this case, this group of people, they're going to face a different challenge. And hopefully, they're going to be able to eliminate or at least buy time to the people that are most important or that demand more care. They would have enough time to leave and be protected and so on. So the idea is exactly the same. When we talk about defense and def, we are talking about different strategies on adding layers in different perspectives, software, technology, hardware, and so on, that actually we're gonna at least buy time for us detect an attack. Or in the best case scenario, actually you're gonna stop an attack from happening. So definitely this is the main idea, right? So here I'm gonna cover a few things that are something new in terms of product capabilities, right? So obviously, if you have like some maybe 5-6 year old technology, maybe you don't have these capabilities. So this is part of the conversation and the analysis that we should be doing. It's the time to maybe refresh the network, or we should be investing in different areas of strategy, of security strategy. So definitely it's your call. And here I'm going to give you a couple of options that you can consider in our strategy. The first one obviously is upgrade your networking capability. With that, I'm going to share basically a few things that the new switches, in the case of routers, they're going to start to bring by default, and they're going to help be like the real first layer on the networking side of this protection, this defense in depth. So here we have a couple of products, right, in different layers, edge, distribution, and core, where they bring the capabilities that I'm going to share in a minute. The second thing, most important to understand, it's the new future is not just about hardware. Obviously, it's extremely important to have a reliable hardware that we do, but also the software that's running inside it is extremely important too. So this is where we came with a new generation, completely revamped of the software that we call MXNOS. And the reason for that is, as you can imagine, every single day you have tons of vulnerabilities being disclosed, right? And we also have the need to actually raise the bar in terms of security capabilities. So with that, the time to the market is completely different from the old, maybe 5-6 years ago, in terms of security capabilities and needs. And this is why we had to really reinvent our software to allow us basically every single year bring more features and patches and be able to really respond to this important need of the market. And with that being said, Moxa, probably our way to go to market is also interesting because we don't charge for these upgrades and for the patching. So it's extremely important topic to understand because we're going to covered a little bit that in terms of balance on operation and investments. And definitely, this is where also we have a differentiation that I'd like to share with you guys about the key aspect that we don't charge for these specific upgrades in the future. With that being said, assuming that we have like a new products, right? Or even you're considering old products. Anyways, you need to have what we're calling hardening or securing the network device. And in order to do that, actually, we have a couple of different sources, right? And one of them is obviously the manufacturer, like Moxa. We will provide you a hardening guide where we have the best recommendations of the best configuration possible to this specific product. On the top of that, this is where I'm saying that we are seeing this push for be more than just the basic security in terms of networking. And this is where we start to see things that are most used on IT side now being like demanded and start to be implemented and industrial control systems. So ACLs and some other features that I'm calling here advanced layer 2, like GCP snooping, IP source guard, dynamic IP inspection. Those features have been developed for decades in IT, but definitely it's quite new in IT, in OT, and definitely they demand a new type of hardware that should be reliable and be able to run all of that without, for example, fans, right? So being fanless. So this is basically the first step. You need to make sure you are doing the right configurations, raising this first layer of segmentation on the network devices itself. The second step is fortifying, right? These are a couple of common good practices. I will not go over them due to time, but definitely you have here what is considered the most common type of recommendations to give you the next step of the second layer in terms of defense in depth. And if you want also have more information, here I'm sharing some other good additional research that you can check out. I have NIST, EC3, syscontrols. Syscontrols is not 100% industrial related, but also, so you should be careful for the recommendations that they do, but definitely it's a good content in terms of practical actions that you can deploy as a segmentation or controls of security. And NSA. The third step is actually once you have the hardware and you define the good configurations, you define what from those recommended actions makes sense to your strategy. Actually, it's really hard to deploy it in consistent way, right? So you may have different sites. You have different, let's say, tons or of devices deployed in different sites. And now it's start to have this trouble, right? How we can make sure your configurations are the same in different sites, right? So this is what I'm calling to be consistent. This is definitely something that different groups of hackers, they try to explore, right? They try to check flaws in configuration and etc. So definitely consistency is extremely important. This is where the layer of software is extremely important, and the ability actually on make mass deployment, mass configurations, and across the sites are getting extremely important, right? So this is where we have different tools in our portfolio that can help based on the strategy, give this ability to make sure you are consistently making these changes, you are making this mass deployment in different sites, and make sure we are moving and being consistent, not just adding the security layers, but also being consistent in how you're adding them. Here's just to give you guys visibility about different softwares that we have in our portfolio, and each of them, they have a different goal and a different, say, target, right? And it comes in terms of security, definitely we have some overlaps. But definitely what would be the best for you guys is definitely rely on your strategy. So definitely we want to help you guys pick and choose based on your strategy what makes sense. And this is what we're going to talk in a few slides later. All right, so I'm going to talk about one specific software on this presentation that is related more to the networking. That is the product line that I'm responsible for. That is the MX1. And it gives a couple of huge wins in terms of security. First one, visibility in terms of what's connected. right? And the other thing is basically configuration. So now you start to see what's configured. You can start to make it some type of checking, regular checking on the configurations. If you have changes, actually, you can see the change happening and you can make some type of investigation. The monitoring, that is, I believe, the keyword, it's definitely visibility slash monitoring, right? So you start to see different devices, how they're communicating, and eventually link down, link up. So you can start to have a new visibility about what's happening on the network. And ultimately, you can be notified about that. So these are a few things that I believe that are extremely important. Hans, you're going to share a few real cases and real life examples about and how these things can be helpful. But definitely, these are going to help basically any strategy of security, because actually visibility slash monitoring are extremely important. Without those, actually, it's really hard to be able to track down some specific problem in a network. The other thing is also the ability that you have to make consistently the configurations among different sites. So we have a feature called MX1 that actually give you the ability to deploy across the sites the same configurations, minimizing human mistakes, right, configuration mistakes, and also make sure you are consistently following the best practices that you define on your strategy. And the last part about the software that I personally think that is extremely interesting, and it's also related to the topic about operation slash investments. Similar to switches, where we release every single year basically a new feature with new capabilities and also patching some security issues. We do the same with our software, and sometimes we do in the path of 6 months new release. And as you can see, I pick a couple of them that I think that is really interesting in terms of security. And I'm going to just highlight, for example, one, rogue device. So we have this feature that is also included when you buy our software. So you don't need to pay anything else to have the access to this feature. And pretty much any new device that is connected to a network, you're going to receive an alert and say, hey, something is connected. And you can basically check down IP addressing and MAC address and make sure if this equipment should be connected to a network or not. So this is a huge win. And associated with that, actually, you can use blocky unused port. So if you have like static network that most of industrial network topologies should be, you can actually massively block down all the ports at the same time. So it helps you actually minimize the physical access to new ports. And you can remove this blocking also through software. So you don't need to actually access the specific switch to do that. So definitely you can see different things that are definitely aligned with our major strategy that is going to help our customers to be more secure, increase their layers of defense and depth with the things that they already have. So when we basically buy our solution, you are buying this long-term investment that Moxa does to improve the security in hardware, in software, and the platform that we offer to our customers without any additional cost. The last part is advanced segmentation. So we talk now for, I believe many of our customers, like you guys already have, basically the software, many of you already have the platform. So it's more like what we can take the most from the investment that we already had. And if you have like an old generation of networking, maybe it's a time to start to think if it's not the time to upgrade and actually have these additional layers of security. But definitely different strategies right here. And here I'd like to share an important aspect, right? As you can see, we have different numbers to digest here, but I'm going to highlight due to time a few things. First, this is from IBM, and you can see historically, let me take the pointer. As you can see here, you have it from 2017 to 2014. 24, sorry. That is basically past year, the last report that we have. This is the number that I'd like to highlight. This is the number of days that a company usually needs to detect that they have been hacked. So they take basically 200 days, more than a half a year, to understand that they were hacked and they maybe have somebody in their networking oversdropping or gathering information about their data and doing something with that. So definitely it's a significant amount of days that it's alarming, right? And you can see this later, but obviously a lot of that is also because we have a huge lack of visibility in different portions of the networking. So this is why actually we take a long time to really detect it, right? And obviously we have a challenge, right? So otherwise we would have better numbers. But these are the based on the conversation that I have with tons of customers inside or outside Moxa in my different roles. But definitely, first one is like sometimes they know the problem, but they kind of struggle with investment. They don't have like a significant OPEX investment to do some type of new technology deployment and vice versa. Lack of strategy, many medium and small companies, they are still struggling to find what they really need to do, what secure means to them. So this is still something that we time to time see it. And we have different technologies, but sometimes it's hard to the technology be able to be deployed in brownfield. That is when basically legacy systems, you have a very old system operating and you need to deploy some new technology there. So it's not all the technologies that are capable to really understand these old protocols and be able to really understand what's needed to do. And obviously, new technologies sometimes are easier to greenfield environment. So everything being developing secured by design, so you can already consider. So have the ability actually to be able to be flexible to adopt brownfield legacy systems and new systems is something that basically not all the vendors have this ability to really understand these different type of needs in scenarios. And ultimately, something that I already covered, they may have a strategy, they may have something installed, they may have like something to do it, but they struggle in how make it this more in scale. So this is where I'm also bringing this conversation to help you guys to understand what is possible, right? And sometimes you don't need to even pay anything else for that. With that being said, 1,000-foot view about CAPEX and OPEX. CAPEX is basically investments when we are buying a new project. So this is pretty much a budget you have to invest in a new implementation. But in order to really keeping it operating or maintain the system, usually you have another cost center that's called OPEX. That is basically operation expenses. And usually these are managed by different people. But ultimately, to the company really be successful deploying security, actually these two baskets should be communicating, right? Because ultimately it's the money of the company that is being invested. So somehow it should be aligned. And sometimes I see that the struggle is they don't have enough balance between these two different baskets. And this is what sometimes make it hard the implementation of the cybersecurity system. So this is why we're bringing this topic to give you guys the visibility about, let's say, these two types of investments and how actually we can help you guys make sure that we are aligned in these two types of expenses and allow you guys be able to invest and deploy the security systems. So ultimately, what is needed, right? We saw that we are doing a couple of things, but the numbers based on the last report from last year is not really getting better, right? And the reason for that, many of the companies that I have like inside Moxa and outside Moxa, they are still using the very traditional segmentation type where they have like a firewall in this region that we call DMZ, this military zone, and another firewall that OT manages. So this is sometimes what we see as the most common type of segmentation. But actually, you have the full network on the bottom of this segmentation, basically on the same level, or what we call a flat network. So that's one of the reasons that the numbers are not getting better is because if you have something happening on these lowest layers of the industrial control system, you're going to have this struggle actually to understand or to detect this attack. Because actually, you're going to take this basically maybe 200 days or so to actually the hacker try to do something else to escalate or to make the what we call lateral movement on the network and actually cross this firewall. That is when actually we're going to see and flag it in the worst case scenario. So the proposal, it's kind of clear. We need to have a better segmentation. We need to have a better detection points closer to the most important assets, the critical assets. But definitely, this is where this challenge that I share in the previous slide comes in place. So this is where we would like to give you guys some possibilities to definitely do some type of segmentation, for different type of investments that you may have or budgets, and actually give you the ability to give this extra step needed to improve your segmentation and bring the networking, your system to the next level. This is like just to give you guys an idea about our portfolio, right? You have like the most simple type of devices that can be installed in current and legacy systems doing some type of ACLs through the most next generation type of firewalls like EDRs, G 9010, where they bring the capability, among other things, like threat intelligence. So definitely different type of technologies for different type of strategies and investments, right, or budgets. So this is where we start to see that we can help you guys understanding our strategy, understand what we're trying to do. We can definitely guide you on the best path to make it happen. With that being said, and that's good because my timing is almost there. We are giving to our customers the ability to do something that we're calling Technology Day. So if you are right now designing your networking and you're not really sure about let's say the best and next step, definitely we are doing with a couple of customers where basically we fly an expert that can be myself or any other of our cybersecurity experts, and they fly in your company and basically work with you, understanding your goals and help you design basically the next steps. So we have here proposed the agenda, but definitely that is completely flexible. And at this time, for those that you are online, would like to offer to you guys this opportunity. And if you have the interest on having an expert, having that conversation with your team in your site, definitely we're going to bring now this question. You'll be able to, we will not share this information that is be internal only. So if you have the interest on having this conversation, definitely just answer this question and we'll be able to contact you and have a conversation in the next time. I'm gonna give you guys a couple of minutes, right? So you can digest and be sure. And I will, after that full question, gonna call my friend Hans to talk a little bit about some real cases and real life examples about these strategy softwares. Something that when we are covering the theory behind, sometimes it's a little bit fuzzy, right? So now I really want you guys see real life examples to really connect the things that I shared. All right. I'm going to give you guys a few, I'm receiving a lot of answers, so thanks for that. I appreciate it. And I'm going to give you guys probably more 15 seconds so you can be able. Just to make a point, I don't know, doing obviously our agendas and etc. If after offline, you'll be able to schedule this. So this is why we are doing live to do for you guys that are interested in doing it right now, right? All right, so I believe we're good. Thank you for sharing. And for those that are interested, and I have a lot of them, that's great. One of our team will contact you and arrange the best timing and arrange the next steps. All right, so with that being said, I would like to call here my friend Hans, the application engineer, to talk about real examples about deploying these specific technologies and strategies that I share in the first half of this webinar. Hans, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Felipe. Very insightful. Hi, everyone. I'm Hans Jen, and it's very nice to be here. And let me move to the next page. All right. So we have just explored the trend and the strategies you can use to protect your network. And I saw lots of you are interested in improving segmentation and also advanced threat detection. So that's good, because in the next two sections, we will take a closer look at why network management plays a critical role, not just in daily operations, but also in responding to and recovering from cybersecurity incidents. Then I will walk you through how to apply the cybersecurity countermeasures, some of them Felipe just mentioned, to the real-life applications, including layered network architecture, network segmentation, zones, and conduits. So with that, based on the best practice of industry, a secure and reliable network is more than the network infrastructure. It's also important to have visibility of critical devices, record historical events, and have the situational awareness, meaning we need to monitor the status of the network devices and get alarmed when there's a failure. Recording historical events will help us understand what failure happened and where and when. We all know the question now is not will we ever have a cyber incident, but when it will happen, right? So the cybersecurity standard IEC 62443 recommends that we need to have continuous network management. If we have a cyber incident, we must have a timely response by notifying the proper authorities, blocking and collecting evidence on the incident, and taking corrective actions if needed. That's why network management software is critical from a cybersecurity perspective. To fulfill that requirements, we developed a network management software solution called MXV1. It's a web-based application that runs in your browser. When you open MXV1 using Chrome, you will see the topology view as shown on the slides, like this. And it's capable to monitor the most important activities in your network, including link status, power status, redundancy status, and more. It also offers a 90-day free trial, so you can download the software from the Moxa website and test it out in your lab today. And I would like to introduce a few key features that MXV1 offers. First, it allows us to automatically discover the equipment in the network and visualize the network in the topology view. It displays device icons and all copper and fiber connections. One thing our customers really appreciate is that it shows the port numbers for each connection. Imagine you have installed thousands of devices on site during commissioning. How do you know the POCs in the first containers is connected to which port on which switch? Also, if you have the redundancy protocols running in your networks, such as RSTP, SDP, turbo ring, and turbo chain, MXV1 uses solid lines to indicate forwarding ports and dot lines for blocking ports, so that you can monitor your traffic flow better. And next feature I like to highlight is the fiber check. MXV1 is able to display the transmission and receiving power of the fiber links across the network. It will display all the fiber connection on a single page and send you alerts when the receiving power drops below a certain threshold, which is user-defined. For example, in the third line, you can see the fiber connection between the device, which has IP address 10.81.10.12 and .13. shows the receiving power is below -20 dB. So this is bad. And that means something along that path is not working properly. It's a good idea to check the SFPs, adapters, fiber cables, and patch panels between those two devices. Without fiber check, we had to send somebody to on site, bring the optic fiber meter to measure the receiving power, which takes lots of time and efforts when it comes to troubleshooting or commissioning. And next is the MXV1 is able to show you the traffic load, like the bandwidth usage on each connection. So we use the different color codes to highlight the bandwidth usage of the links. So for example, you can see here, all my links are blue. So based on the color code, the bandwidth usage is between 0% to 20%. That means my network is healthy. So for example, if you or someone configure the devices not correctly, you have looping in your network, then you might see the color turn to orange or red, meaning the bandwidth usage is very high. So this just helps us to identify the issues like very easily. So with that, I have a single simple demonstration here to show you how it looks like in the MXV1. Let me start. So you can see here, this is a topology view in MXV1. You can see all the device icons in your network. It will display all the information, critical information at the right-hand side, including model name, IP address, MAC address, and others. And even more, we have a plugin module to allow you to import the configuration of the devices in substations. So for example, this is an IED from other brands, ABB. And on top of that, we can monitor the control packets between those IEDs. And here I'm gonna simulate a cyber attack event. I'm going to do is I will send a fake or the same control packets called goose to the IED. IED is the brand of the substation to do control and monitoring, control and protection. Once we detect the control packets from unauthorized path, MXV1 will display and send alerts to the user. Although this control packet is exactly the same, looks the same from the device, but it comes from the unauthorized path. That means something is wrong and suspicious behavior is in the network. So this will tell users to check the network if the network is healthy or something happens in the network. So this is a quick demo of the MXV1. Okay. And next, I'm gonna show you some real-life application. And let's explore how it looks like. Here's an example of how you can do a network segmentation. At the left-hand side, you can see all the equipment in a factory are connected in a flat network, including robotic, HMIs, PLCs, SCADA, sensors, and controllers. That means the network is using the same VLAN. If one of the devices get compromised and keeps sending broadcast storm, the entire network will be affected. Instead, at the right-hand side, what we can do and we should do is to utilize defense in depth strategy and use layer 3 switches, routers, and firewalls to segment the network into multiple pieces, what we call zones. For example, there are 3 different VLANs as I highlighted in different colors, like the green, and blue, green, and purple. If a device gets compromised in the purple zone, we will be able to isolate the issue within that zone and minimize the damage, prevent it spreading out across the entire network to give us some time to react and to find out where is the issue and then fix it. When it comes to the larger network, we can apply the same strategy to build a layered network architecture that connects industrial networks to the enterprise networks and create a DMZ in between. By using firewalls at the boundary at each zone, we will be able to filter unauthorized packets, monitor and detect suspicious behavior, and because that is like a goalkeeper to monitor all the packets coming in and out. So with that, if a cyber incident does occur, we can prevent it from spreading out and impact all the network, all the devices in the network. Here are the solutions we offer. Within each zone, as you can see in each zone, we have IO things and endport, which will be used to connect end devices such as PLCs, sensors, and other equipment. The EDS 4000 is a layer 2 switch. The EDR 8010 and EDR G9010 are secure routers that supports VLANs, ACL, which is access list control, and firewall features. We can use those features to segment the network into multiple zones. Last but not least, we can forget about network management. So MXV1, our network management software, can be installed and running on an industrial computer like the BXP A101 to monitor the entire OT network. This allows us to track network activities like someone who logging your devices, and also the bandwidth usage, and also the connection status, and receive alerts when something goes wrong. With that, I will hand it over back to Felipe to wrap up the presentation session before we jump into the Q&A. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Hans. Appreciate it. Thanks for go over these applications, and let's basically summarize, right? I tried to summarize here basically all the aspects that we covered during this short webinar, and try and actually make the opportunity, right, to cover more in depth for those who are interested. So basically, the first one, based on the numbers and all the things that are happening outside the technology trends and etc. Definitely, we need keep improving our segmentation. And here we cover different types of strategy that you can deploy to achieve that goal. Another thing is extremely important, the usage of software to make consistent, and more than that, to make more across the sites, make the configuration on the same level. So that is extremely important, like we disclose. And the conversation about investments and budget are part of our conversation. So definitely we touch a little bit this, but definitely we want to share that we are aware about these limitations, and we want to be your partner to understand and overcome these challenges. And the last part is we do have solutions that are suitable to what we call legacy or old systems, and as such new systems like greenfield. So definitely we have this capability and flexibility to work in both types of technologies. And with that, I'm going to pass the floor to James, that is going to be able to navigate us to the closing and the Q&A sections.
Thanks, Felipe. All right, let's go ahead and move to the next slide here. We just have one more question for all you folks. Before we start our Q&A session, we wanted to know if you are interested in Moxa reaching out to you to discuss any projects that you may be working on. If you are interested, we will make time to, of course, reach out to you post-webinar. But I'll just leave this up here just for a few more seconds for you guys to submit your responses, and we can jump into the Q&A session. We have a lot of questions, so let me go ahead and start with the first one here. What are some common mistakes companies make when segmenting their OT networks for cybersecurity?
Right, I can share a couple of them, and Hans, be more than welcome to share your perspective too. The most common type of mistakes I would say are definitely the lack of segmentation. So many companies are still using the most traditional segmentation that I showed, that is IT and the OT firewall on the DMZ, and they don't have anything else as segmentation per se. And they also rely a lot in VLANs, but it's important to say that a VLAN is more like a performance feature and not really a security feature, right? It doesn't help in the visibility and many other things. So definitely, these are two major things that I see. And the third is they really don't have visibility about the network and the topology, all the things that I work with Hans to bring here as capabilities of our software is definitely things that in my conversation with different type of companies, they do not have this visibility on their network. So this is one of the reasons that we see this alarming number of more than 200 days to understand that a specific system was hacked and so.
Okay, thanks, Felipe.
Sure.
So just to time check real quick, we have 9 minutes left with quite a few questions, so try to do my best to work through all these. Here's another one. Have there been any new features or products introduced to support OEMs providing equipment under the EU's Cyber Resiliency Act coming in 2027?
Yeah, it's Pete, right, that made this question. Yeah. So yes, that is a very good question. For those who are not familiar with the Resilience Act, it's covered in Europe. So the companies, U.S. companies that need export equipments to Europe, they will need to address somehow this Resilience Act. So a lot of the halls or what specifically they are looking for are still under development. So it's expected, if I'm not mistaken, by the end of the year, they have like a confirmation about what they are really expecting. But in general, the community of cybersecurity, we are seeing heavily, they are relying heavily on the EC 6043 standard. So as Moxa, we are certified as a company, and our products, many of them are certified on the same standard. So we are confident, right, that as they are relying a lot on the standard, that our current strategy is definitely helping on that direction. But again, it's still under development, so we are waiting for more information.
Okay. I have some questions here regarding MX View 1. Does MX View 1 require network connectivity from the network in which it is installed to the internet or cloud?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I can take this one. So no, actually not. So after you install MXV1 on your server on site, you don't need internet connection to run the MXV1's the software. So you can have a server which don't have the internet access and running MXV1 and monitor all the equipment in the network.
Okay, thanks. I see that you were trying to type a response, so I guess the verbal works too. Here's another one. Does MXV1 support third-party devices? For example, an SNMP compatible S7 1500 PLC?
Yeah, so as long as those devices support SNMP, so we can display all those devices on MXV1 because MXV1 will use SNMP no matter it's V1, V2, C, or V3. We will use those protocol to pull the device information and display on the dashboard.
Okay, great. Lots of questions around MXV1. What are the differences or competitive advantages of MXV1 software compared to PRTG?
I don't know this
As a
other software.
sysadmin, you have a lot of.
So I would say we can make a note and back to you later. I don't know if Hans, you know that specific software.
Not really, but as I see here, it's more targeting IT network. So yeah, so for MXV1, we are targeting OT network specifically for those process equipment. And we focus on the features that will help, no matter is designing team or even commissioning team to monitor, to help them to configure maintenance and also do the discover the network.
Okay. So it looks like that software might be more targeted for the IT folks.
Yeah, but if you want to discuss more, you can send the question to us, then we can discuss further.
Yep, definitely. For updating the firmware of the equipment, can we deploy it from the Center Manager portal?
We can. This definitely this is one of the abilities that we are discussing about the mass deployment, is the ability to control the firmware upgrade on all the network, right? So definitely we do that.
Okay. Are there any plans to have MX View app or MX View for MX View 1? Are there any plans for an app for MX View 1?
I honestly don't know. I know that in the past we used to have, but I'm assuming it's more for like tablets and more like mobiles, right? So I definitely would like to understand better these requests. So, but as far as I know, we don't.
Yeah, we could Kenny, I see that you submitted this question. If you don't mind, we could reach out to you afterwards with some more information. Let's see, there's another question here. How can we easily set up MXV notifications to email, etc., on a layer 3 network type?
Yep, so in the MXV1, you can set up the email server. And once you have any event happened in the MXV1, we will send email to your designed, the email box you defined.
Okay. Let's see here. Thanks for the presentation. In your opinion, how exactly will adding the firewall help minimize the time to identify a breach?
Right. I can take this. Yeah, that's related. One of the things that I explained related to we'll be closer to the exit. The reason that we are seeing basically this long time to detection, over 200 days, is actually because our segmentation, our visibility is just on the DMZ, right? So far away from the devices that eventually were hacked. So the ability to bring the firewall, the detection, whatever is the capability, we're bringing closer to the asset, critical asset, actually enhance the visibility and actually help you trigger faster the fact that you have been hacked and do an action, a response for that.
Thank you, Felipe. Here's one. In the event of a cybersecurity incident, how can network management software like MXView 1 assist in response?
So I can take this one. So first, when a cyber incident happened, MXT1 will send you real-time alerts. So you will get alerts. So this is the first step, and help you to respond to events in a timely manner. So you will be able to check whether the devices and are responding to ICMP and SMP packets, those type of important protocols or steps you can check. And also it can detect any unauthorized access. You can check the event log to see if someone you don't recognize access your devices, and review all the abnormal event logs. So this will allow you to take corrective actions to minimize the impact and save time, right? So you can react in time and prevent the attack from spreading out to damage more. So that's the how the MXV1 can help during the cyber event.
Thanks, Hans. We got one more minute. I think this is a good question. If I already have SCADA software in my network, what added value does a network management software like MXV1 provide?
Good question. So I can take this one. So SCADA software focuses on processing equipment like PLCs, IEDs, sensors, or HMIs. So on the other hand, MXV1 focuses on the network equipment like switches, routers, and firewalls, those type of equipment. So it provides visibility of your network, including the topology, bandwidth usage, access control, and redundancy status. So actually, SCADA and MXV1 work together. And let me use a substation as an example. So utilities will have their SCADA software to create a single line diagram to monitor the electricity flow, and have another server running MXV1 to monitor their network status, because those two things are separate. Those two things are important, but we need the different software to monitor for the different purposes.
Thanks, Hans. Thank you.
No problem.
All right, guys, we are at the hour here. I just wanted to thank Felipe and Hans for sharing your information and your expertise on this subject here, and helping us all understand, the investment and segmentation strategies for OT networks. This will wrap up our webinar. Thank you again, everyone, for attending. We hope that you found this information valuable, and keep an eye out for our follow-up email with with links to the on-demand webinar. So thank you, everyone. And
Thank you, guys. See
have
you
a good
next.
rest of your day.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.